What's up, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about buying a car with a salvaged or a rebuilt title. Car I'm going to use for an example is my car. It's a 2003 Mach 1 Mustang. I got a really good deal on this because it has a rebuilt title. So a few things you want to look for when you're looking these over, and it's mostly just visual. Just get a good look down the side, make sure all your lines are straight, nothing's really standing out or anything along those lines. Um, just want to do that both sides of the vehicle, front to rear, rear to front. And you're also going to want to really take a good look at every angle of this just to make sure. And this one I know for a fact is very straight, um, mostly because I've really spent quite a bit of time looking it over before I made an offer on it. You really want to, get to the front here and just make sure all the lines look good. This particular one's a Mach 1 with a shaker hood, which never sits in there straight, no matter what, even though the car is perfectly straight, but it does literally shake when you're driving it. Take a look down the passenger side line, make sure everything's fine there. Just kind of look it all over, look at the door seams, make sure they're good to go. One thing you definitely want to do, if these chassis are even remotely twisted, the doors won't work properly. So you always just open the door, close it a few times, make sure it's functioning right. This one obviously is. You want to know as much about the car as you possibly can. I made sure it had all the factory Mach 1 parts, except the wheels. He didn't have them, but that wing is factory. The side skirts are factory. The front lip is. Check the driver's door as well. Working good. Give it a good look around, like I said. Made sure all the wheels were straight. This particular one was hit on the passenger side. Has been professionally repaired, as you can tell. Just going to open the trunk and I'll show you how I can tell. So, in looking this over, and this was what I noticed, this is the driver's side here. You'll see this is the factory rear quarter on there. You see the factory spot welds going through and all that. So if you come over to the passenger side, see this is the replacement one, and those welds definitely are not factory, and they've actually been covered with a seam sealer. However, this was replaced very well. As you can see just from looking down it, that's definitely an OE piece, and it's definitely on there correctly. The car is not out of line, it's very much straight. If you have friends or maybe you yourself who works at a shop, it's a good idea to put it on an alignment rack just to make sure everything's looking straight on it. I did, and I do not regret it at all before I made an offer on it. So there's a big stigma buying a car with a salvaged or rebuilt title. And I get it. But you can save a lot of money on it. Now, if you're planning on buying a collector car that you just hope to appreciate in value forever, then you probably don't want to do it. But if you're buying a car like I did that I intend to, drive and beat on and maybe even modify a little bit, then it's not really a bad idea, assuming it was fixed correctly. This one in particular has 55,000 miles on it. Just take a look here. There's the driver's airbag. If that was deployed, I don't know that it was or not in the accident. It was replaced with a brand new unit. Obviously a professional job. Passenger airbag over there. A good way to check that system is these cars do what they call a self-diagnostic test when you start them. So what you do is when you start this, you should see the airbag light come on for between 10 and 30 seconds, then clear itself. So let's take a look. Cleared itself that quickly. So there it is. And a lot of times you'll find with a salvage vehicle, a lot of the parts will have been stolen and replaced with a lower one, or actually sold off of it. This one hasn't. The Mach 1s have this this kind of gray instrument cluster here. This one still has it. Other than that, this car is pretty much perfect. So a great way to save some cash on a car, like I said, is to, maybe find one with a salvage or rebuilt title that was done correctly. I know this car in particular on Kelly Blue Book and just as a private party sale is, about $11,200. I paid $6,500 for it out the door, and it was mostly because of that title. So it's a good way to save some money, especially if you don't plan on making a collector out of it. It's just going to be your driver. You're going to modify it, maybe beat it up a little bit. I mean, that's what I do. I don't plan on keeping it forever, but at $6,500 with the value that it's worth, it's very much a good deal in my opinion. And this one was obviously fixed correctly from all that I've looked over on it. And it still seems to have all the components to it. It does not have the original radio or the original wheels, which I'm not really all that upset about because I probably would have replaced them anyways, and I plan on replacing that radio very soon. So, I mean, if you have a car that you're interested in, you decided you're really hung up on the salvage or rebuilt title, don't let that hang you up completely. Just make sure you look it over really good, because if it was rebuilt properly, you could get the car that you really want for, some pretty good savings, about 30-35% less than it's really worth. So, I mean, in my opinion, and I've always been very anti buying cars with rebuilt titles, but if the purpose of it is to drive it, have some fun with it, maybe modify it a little bit, there's really no reason to let that frighten you, I guess. So yeah, if you've got one you're considering, salvage rebuilt title, don't let that deter you. Just make sure you look it over really well. Make sure all your body lines are straight. If they have a Carfax report, awesome. Take a look at it. Make sure you can find out where it was hit, and then you can see how it was repaired. And the test drive is going to be the most important thing. You want to make sure it's going straight all the time. And this car did. This car hasn't let me down yet. So, I mean, like I said, I got a low mileage car that I was actually looking for about $3,000 less than I normally would have paid for it. So, all right, guys, enjoy.